emergency muster point.
You all should stay out here a while. Until it's safe.
I'm happy to get out of that house. Isn't it strange that I've lived in Bright Falls my whole life, and I can't remember this building?
The house has always been here, Norman. Remember when that poor Nora girl drowned in the bunker? Those Andersons got it so cheap because it's haunted. You get what you pay for.
Is there anyone who didn't show up?
A few. Artie, Gil, Cynthia.
If they aren't here by now, then they aren't coming. It's important to be punctual. On that topic, I'd like to point out that our nightly decaf coffee service is almost half an hour behind schedule.
Have any of you noticed anything odd about Ms. Weaver?
Just that Tor won't leave the poor woman alone. That brute wants one thing, and one thing only.
Cynthia's gotten downright bossy. Take a swim in the pond, Norman. Drink some water, Norman. Well, no one tells Norman MacDonald what to do.
Mandy May, are you all right? You're bleeding.
Oh, how did that happen?
Oh, no, Mandy May. Oh, no!
Oh, don't be a crybaby, Norman. It's nothing. I just poked my finger knitting this monster of a blanket.
Hello there. Are you Pat Maine from the radio?
That's me. And you're the federal agent everyone's been talking about. Would you have time for an interview at some point?
Oh, sorry. I'm kind of in a hurry right now. Love your show, though. Very informative.
Thank you. Never compromise on quality. That's my motto. We'd be happy to have you on the show anytime, me and my listeners.
It sure is a beautiful night, huh, Manny?
Anger's remorse. This is the one. But it's gone. Cynthia has the record. She will tell me where to find it.
Wheeler used to be the agent of a manic-depressive celebrity writer, Alan Wake. Wake had various addictions on his back, an on-off death wish. Wheeler had seen a thing or two. Wheeler paid a lot of money for a good shrink. Got himself convinced that all the nightmares he'd seen leading up to Wake drowning himself were just his imagination. PTSD. Now we had pills to keep the shadows from his sleep. But the Andersons were something else. The nightmares were starting to creep in again. Or maybe it was the drugs in the air. Wheeler hoped it was the drugs. The Andersons were so old. Vampires. After every gig and the party that followed, took them weeks to bounce back. And they never did completely. Each time Wheeler expected them to croak. Cynthia Weaver hated being old. She'd been a doer, a fighter. Now the bathroom frightened her, afraid she'd break her hip, like Norman. Cynthia had always kept her lantern close, to hold the darkness at bay. "Oh dear, my lantern. I think I've lost it," Cynthia said. "This will put a smile back on your face, my dear," a voice said. A man's voice. Someone in the bathroom with her. In the dark. The light bulb had blown. She meant to replace it days ago. How could she forget? She had slipped getting out of the tub. She lay in the tub now. She lifted her hand. It looked wrong. Too many hands. In a black void with no sense of up or down, she was underwater. A dark shape pushed her down. Dark water pressed itself into her. She screamed. It came out in bubbles. Emmett Elwood had had enough. All his life he'd been surrounded by the same small-minded, impolite, ignorant people in town. Their endless gossip, their nose-picking, chewing food with their mouths open, not washing their hands after visiting the restroom, and touching things. Touching everything. The world was going to hell. He'd watched day after day how all the nice things in life in Bright Falls were spoiled and ruined forever. There would be a just and terrible reckoning. Emmett had imagined many times how he'd make them pay. He had lovingly tended his anger, made it grow hotter. It was out in the open now. Ugly and slobbering, they reached at him with their unwashed hands. He'd beat them down, beat them until they no longer moved. And then he'd wash his hands with a strong antibacterial disinfectant. It's 1988, a face-off between deities on the rim of Cauldron Lake, high above its dark waters. Thunder roared, the old gods facing something even more powerful, something harder to define even. Or, changing the perspective, raving lunatics all, caught up in the frenzy of a shared delusion. The old gods, the corsairs of the Sea of Night, and the Dark One who yearned to stand in between, who had always stood in between, who would soon stand in between. "We help you, you stay away from our family," Tor Anderson snarled over the thunder. "Yes, until you all come to me," came the answer. "That's never gonna happen," shouted Odin. "I will take this as collateral. Shall you remember our deal?" said the Dark One. Blood arched from Odin's face as he fell to his knees. Lightning hit the dark figure on the cliff, and with that, he was gone. Tor rushed to his brother. "Are you all right, bro?" Effectively blind in that moment, the eye patch covering his left eye, his hand over the now empty socket of his right, blood oozing out of it. Odin cursed. The bastard took the wrong eye.
Anga's remorse is missing. Who took it?
Our shame becomes the pale horse. Oh, Tor, bro. Tor's love for you is in that song. That's why Cynthia wants it, to ruin him. She made Tor lust after her. We fought one scratching hag years ago. Now he's fallen for another, and we might lose him for good. One less Anderson.
That isn't going to happen. Cynthia has torn the overlap. Anger's remorse is the key to get there. I need to make Cynthia reveal its location. Cynthia targeted Tor specifically. Why him?
Deal with the nasty Anderson fellow. His heart was broken. Cancelled. Leaks started appearing. It was too late. Shut her out of her own case.
The dark presence is using Cynthia to keep me from talking to Tor. Where is Anger's remorse now?
Beauty is a young girl in love. A rock and roll cliche. The shadows to come alive. A gift. An on-off death wish.
She has the record. I can get it out of her. Anger's remorse. Where is it, Cynthia?
Drowned beneath dark water. Too many hands. The bathroom frightened her. Cut short. She screamed. An old folks' care home.
The Anger's remorse record is in Cynthia's room. In her bathtub. A bathtub, a pond, a lake. There's a theme here. Cynthia took the record, and I brought it back. Hello there. Saga Anderson.
Eipä siinä. Name won't make the man worse. Even a Swedish name. I'm Ahti.
Do you know anything about the cult of the tree?
Yes, yes. He who reaches for a spruce tree will stumble into a juniper. Blum was one of them. He has kicked empty. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. But I like his shoes.
How did you know Blum was part of the cult?
Oh, Fox never runs out of tricks. Tease a crazy man, and he will show his ways. Blum like to talk.
Wheeler set up a foundation with the sales of their greatest hits album. He used the cash to build a nursing facility. The old men deserved it. An old manor in Bright Falls. Wheeler hired a contractor to have it refitted as an old folks' care home. At this point, Wheeler felt good about himself. He had a heart of gold. No need to feel guilty. Wheeler left the work to the contractor and returned to New York City. He had done his part. It was time to turn over a new leaf. The contractors figured out Wheeler was gone for good. They took the money and ran. When the fall rains came, the leaks started appearing.
Goddamn lights. Key fob's no good without power.
No use crying in the dark place. What has been has gone. But trouble doesn't look like this. You can go to the basement and check the generator. But look out. You can never know in which tree the devil sits.
The basement. Thanks.